Okie dokie. Everything's working now. Let's do the show. Let me clear my throat. Hi. How's everybody? Hopefully good out there in internet land. Hope this week has treated you kindly. And you're ready to wrap up for it's a warm fall weekend here in upstate New York. I don't know about everybody else. What are we doing today? I left a cliffhanger. We're going to do countries and states. Atlas, Project Atlas. Want to look at that one more time. Basically talk to myself through the documentation that that thing probably needs. And update the GitHub repo, which there is one now, but might need a little bit of a cleaning. So we'll do some of that, and then I wanted to bring back an oldie but a goodie, and I wanted to bring it back because I've had some conversations. It keeps coming up. Forceopoly, the Monopoly on Salesforce game, the Uber flow-induced logic bending rules. I'm gonna bring it back for a little while, I think. Also got some special guests coming up in the next few weeks again, so having something that we can sort of pick back up and put down between episodes when there aren't guests will be good. So, and I don't know, I've been itching to open it back up, and I think one thing that we'll do today is try to kind of remember how all that was working before, because that was kind of a thing. I guess I need to make sure that the stream is up to date here. There we are. Okay, cool. It looked like things were kind of stuck. All right, we're good. We're good. So let's go get after it. Let's find that screen that we do all our work on. Where are you? What is going on here? Seems like we're stuck a little bit. Hang on. I confess, I did not. After the session with Eric last week, a couple of settings changed, and I totally forgot that was happening. So I'm gonna pay no attention to the man behind the curtain here. Try to figure out what we got going on. Yeah, we capture that one. You guys probably don't want to watch the infinite loop. I'm gonna guess. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, can I fix this now? That's right. It's really weird because there's it's capturing my screen, but it looks like it's capturing my screen from like a week ago. So that's kind of neat. There it is. Okay. We'll get rid of that. Now we're looking good. Okay. Here we go. All right, Atlas. First things first. I should probably update the documentation here a little bit. State and country pick list. That's the last country and state pick list you'll ever need. Hopefully. Okay. Let's get it in Oregon. Take a look at this. Take inventory of what we got. So first things first, we got our LWC. I got a little bit of other stuff in here that I was monkeying around with, but and I guess I can remove that from the instance. Junctioner, not quite ready for prime time, so I'll pull that out. Country state pick lists. Can we preview this? Because I can never remember how to do markdown good. Oops. There we go. All right. What on earth am I doing wrong? Okay, there we go. Country state pick list. This is the component. We have a country state pick list sample. Let's see, demo. We've got a skip junctioner. We've got a whole bunch of custom metadata. I'm not going to name all those. Call these there's our instances of country dot star. md stash meta dot xml. These are all instances of country MDT. There's like 260 of them, I think. And speaking of custom metadata, let's include the object. country MDT stores country and related state / province details. We can probably name the fields here. Country is full name of the country. We've got our abbreviations. And we got states JSON. There's like 5,000 records, or 5,000 states / provinces across the 200 plus countries. It didn't seem like a lot of fun to create. Maybe it's not 5,000, but it's thousands of states and provinces. So opted not to create a state province metadata object because just be a lot to that's a lot. I think it's a lot to ask. We're already putting 200 plus in the package, so you know that's going to happen. But you know, why add another 3,000? We're just storing JSON formatted data of each of the states. So it's, it's an array of objects with the name of the state and the state code. So state code's kind of like the ISO 2 of states. And I learned there's no ISO 3 of states. So that's cool. Good to know. All right, where are we? We got metadata, objects, components. What else do we have in here? We don't need the name credentials. That's going to go away. External service, that can go away. Junctioner we'll take out. Let's see, can I just add this to the git ignore from here? Probably not. Can I go here and do that? Yeah, there's just stuff in here we don't need to worry about. No triggers. We have a tab for the test page. We have a test page, right? No aura, no applications. Let's do this. I'm just gonna go grab a. I'm just gonna go make a copy of this folder, and then we can delete a bunch of stuff. I don't want to lose my junctioner stuff. There we go. All right, what don't we need? We got to throw some things in force ignore here too. Applications, aura. External credentials. External service registrations. We used to use a an API for this, but found a better data source that we could just. This stuff doesn't change that often. You know, the world's always changing. There's always, you know, conflicts or disagreements about what's what, but at a global level, not too much change. So I feel like it's safe enough to store this data locally. It's a whole lot faster to run too, for what it's worth. I think we have a test page here, so let's come back to the flexi pages. But we can get rid of. Can we get rid of layouts? I think there's a. I think we're missing a layout actually. I should do a poll here in a second. We don't need name credentials. We do have an object. Do we have a field in? No, we're gonna remove that. Atlas user. I think a lot of this we're not going to need either. Profiles definitely not. Static resources, no. And tabs maybe, triggers no. And now we can get rid of a bunch of these. Oh, content assets too. All right, let's do a poll, see if we make sure our... Oh, geez, did I not save the get ignore? Maybe getting all that stuff back again. Oh, and the name credentials, yeah. I really don't know why that just spins forever. Delete that again. Yeah, we don't really need to include, these are included because I did some work on them, but let's make sure they're not included. Do this all alphabetically so we're doing good. Junction. Okay. Do we have a layout for the custom metadata? Yes, we do. I'm surprised that doesn't get pulled. Let's get rid of the junction layout. Suppose I could just delete a bunch of this stuff too. That would probably be fine at this point. Yeah, probably don't really even need to bother with the... Let's just do that. We'll do some cleanup here. We have a custom object called junction. Can we delete it? Maybe. Yes, we can. We don't need our named credentials anymore. or the external, or the service. Okay, that's gone, so we don't need to even worry about that anymore. Okay, so a lot of this can just go away now. Those two flows, we don't, do we need those still? I forget. Let's take a look. Our LWC, all right, Mr. Preview, I got to get rid of you for a second. Actually, maybe not. Just move you over. All right, our LWC uses flow call out, and flow call out is, we are using Atlas get countries and Atlas get states, so we can get rid of get countries if that's even, if that even exists anymore. Yeah, it looks like that's gone. So let's just delete that too. Okay. All right, back to documenting. We'll have to document the API parts of our components, part of the get rid of you. Right, I'm going to delete Junctioner because I have a backup. Oh, no, we're not. We're going to do that. Oh, that's the that's why the contact record page is lighting up, because I was testing the Junctioner object or component over there, which is not part of Atlas. So it needs to just go away. I'll set up a different project for Junctioner if I get around to it. Okay, that should be gone now. So hopefully we can delete this. And we'll get rid of Junctioner record while we're at it. And now we can get rid of okay, cool. So those are all gone now. I do not need this. Don't need this. I think country data is maybe being used for the data type in the flow. Transform into country data. Yep. Okay. So that is in use. So that's we'll keep that. And then the state pick list test. That's just a test page that has the couple of flavors of the component on it, just to show how it can be used. So we'll document a few more of these. This is an example. 2 example instances of okay. This is the so we got the objects, permission set group. Oops, what just happened there? That was weird. Did I just paste into that? Yes, I would like to undo that. Some of this I don't think we need anymore. We don't need the named principal. We don't need, yeah, we don't need some of these. Get rid of state data, it doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. Update that. And then likewise, we don't need whoops. I didn't delete it from the project. It's going to come back. Alright, so now if I pull everything again, I'll probably get that back. I gotta come back to the flows, I think. That's the only thing left, except the 2 permission sets. Man, I wish I knew what happens with my... I feel like I just need to wipe out VS Code and just reinstall everything fresh, because it's not pulling. You know, it's like... it's a mess. Maybe I just have a bad... I don't know. It's really frustrating how much the pull and push don't work, at least for me. All right, well, at least we've got that synced up now. So permission set groups, the only one we have is Atlas user. We have 2 permission sets, 2 discrete ones that grant access to classes, country data. So flow call out lets us dynamically call flows, so we don't have to write Apex code every time we want to call a flow. We can pass it from our LWCs. And we do have a tab for the okay, and then the flows. Let's get the flows in here. The get states. Let's see. Did we do anything special there with the formatting, or are we just returning the JSON? Yeah, it's just the JSON, and then we process it when we get it back. Okay, and then we have a sample out here too. Oh, we have a dog that wants to come in. There we go. Okay. That looks good. That's a little more cleaned up. No aura. Remove junctioner. None of that. That was changed. Oh wait, that was removed too, wasn't it? Yeah, we don't need this, right? Country record. Yeah, we don't need the contact record. We can just delete that. Hopefully it doesn't come back again. Okay. And we don't need the junctioner stuff, or the record, or the named credential, or the contact object, or the junction object, or these two permission sets, or any profiles. Let's see. I wish I knew why it kept asking me for this. What? Oh, I like literally just did this. Just when you think you got everything squared away. Okay, who knows? Hello, totally not Eric Schultz. Happy Friday. Let's check our repo here. How do we do? Okay. Good. That's a little leaner and meaner. You know what we're missing? A unit test. Sad trombone. Let's see. Can we crank this out real quick? I want to switch over to that other project in a few minutes. I feel like this flow call out thing could probably be broken out into its own little project too. Okay, so what does it do? It lets us pass parameters to dynamically call a flow, which would imply that we need a flow to call. I can get away with that in this project, but if I needed, we had another standalone project for flow call out, that might be a little more challenging. Flow call out tests. Do that. All right, how do we run this thing? Can we fake this? Can we kind of like stub this out? It really wants to create an interview. I feel like we can't really escape. I almost want to just create a flow that is for unit testing, flow call out, because I'm definitely going to yoink this stuff into other projects someday. I don't know if this is really best practice, but we're just going to have it take a couple of inputs. I guess for what it's worth, we'll test the flow as much as we're test the class. All right, just 2 text for now, and we'll do output 1. I'm going to be super extra lazy and just make these all text data types. Probably should test other ones, but I don't see why they wouldn't work. Oops. All right, so we'll pass in 2. I think I'm literally just going to pass these 2 in and then save them as the inputs and send them back out. This is, let's call this LW, or wait, what do I call it? Flow call out? Yeah, flow call out. Test. Unit test flow. All right, I'm going to let it run wide open. I guess it doesn't matter. We can just make it run in safe mode. Not safe mode, just safer mode. Okay, you are active. So now we can write our test. Let's see, string input 1 equals input 1. Let's just ABC, sure. Input 2. XYZ. Okay, so now we can do flow call out. Call out. No namespace, so we'll leave that null. The flow name is something I've already forgot. All right, our input variables are a map. Tidy this up a little bit so I can just do it all in one shot. This is a new map string object. And that's going to be input 1, which is input 1. Input 2, which is input 2. Nope, not input 3. And our output variables we want back. It's also a new output 1 and output 2. Okay. And now let's assert a few things. So input 1, let's see, it's we need to get the results back from this, right? That would probably help. Yeah, we get a map string. Let's see, the string value of outputs dot get output 1 should equal input 1 because we're just swapping them. And then the string value of output 2 should equal output 2. I'm not going to test this here because it'll take forever. So let's open up the dev console. Success. Haha. No, we're probably not going to hit our exception. We could blow it up. How do I blow this up? What if I ask for an output variable that doesn't exist? Seems cool with that. Okay. What if I pass it a unit or a namespace that doesn't exist? Not real. That might blow it up. Let's not throw the... I mean... I guess if I wrap this in, if not... yeah. That's probably the best I could do, right? I want to throw it, but I don't want to... Actually, wait a second. I think what I did... I sort of reserved a... Let's do this. We're going to make our output variables... This is really output variable values. I don't know if I want to... Do I want to change that? Yeah, I should be okay. Let's look at the LWC that's calling it. The state countries pick list. I don't think it cares what it's called when it comes back. Yeah, it calls it whatever it wants to call. Okay. So we'll clean this up a little bit. Output variable values, that's what's coming back. I'm going to return it further out here. So if we do hit the... I wonder, do we even want it to throw the error, or do we just want to return it back? So I would do this, output variables.put, and then we would say, full call out exception. Get message. Okay, then we can just send that back. So maybe we just... If I can catch it and send it back to the... Might throw one other thing out here. Reserve that also, so you can check for goodness or badness when this fires. Default that. Actually, I'll just put it up here, like underneath it, because I'm lazy. Actually, no. Well, what? It just happened. Here we go. All right, we'll be optimistic. Okay, and then we'll, if we fail, we'll mark it false. So we'll reserve these two. So don't put these variables in your flow, or don't name your, don't name your variables these words in your flow, or you'll be sad because it won't work, or it'll get overwritten. All right, we can do a couple other things here. So now we can assert that should be true in this case. All right, let's write another test here. Whoops. Test incorrect, invalid. Invalid namespace. I think, would we want to say this too? Make sure that, and is this exception or just error? I'm just going to call it error. I think this is null. So we don't have to say that we want those back. We're just giving them back as part of the, as part of this. You always get them. All right, we're going to say invalid. Same call, same stuff. I think we should do a check on our code too to say the thing that's interesting is it doesn't, it didn't complain about us asking for a variable, output variable that didn't exist. So I was actually curious if this, if there's anything to it that kind of tells us how it handles that. If it's expected to not, just not return anything, cool. If it's going to explode at some point, maybe not so cool. Get variable name. Come on. I was going to say we could check, but I don't know if there's really any way to check. I think it only exposes the value that you're asking for. It doesn't actually tell you what values are available. So let's see here. Get variable value. A VA breadcrumb variable? What on earth does that mean? So you can provide users with breadcrumbs regardless of which flow the interview is running. Okay. I don't know. Let's see, get variable value. If the value can't be found, it returns null. So we could check for that also. All right, let's go up here and say output 3 should be null. Okay, we'll chest that there. I'm going to take it out of the second one. And this should be false. And assert not equals. Should get an error. Okay. Test you again. We got 2 tests now. Oop, what did I break? Oh, did my chest end up checking the wrong thing? Yes. Oh, wait. Where is that failing? Wasn't really expecting that. Let's see. Line 23. Oh, here's something interesting. Flow callout success, flow callout error, invalid type. Where is that happening? Not something. Oh, it's not a string. That's why. Yeah, but that should be okay. Whoops. Is this the problem? Yeah, I think this is the problem. There we go. Oh, rerun. Yay. 82%. Did we go down? Well, that's interesting that the second... Is the second one not an... Yeah, we forgot to mark it as test. Silly. Hey, you know what happens when you don't mark a unit test as a unit test? It doesn't run as a unit test. All right, I'm going to do a new run because I can never remember if it... Yeah, they're 2 separate tests now. Ooh, look at that. Beautiful. 100% of all 17 lines. All right, let's get that into the... Can I commit you? That would be cool if I could. All right, come on, commit and push. Okay, now it works. I'm happy that it works. I'm not complaining. But what about all the other times you didn't work? I'll tidy that up a little bit. Actually, let me do that right now because I don't like the way that's... Components. I'm not going to clean it all up. I'm just going to get these out of here. There we go. Groovy. Okay. That thing's done. So that's Atlas. Maybe I'll post a few things about that. Did I clean up this? Probably, yeah, we don't need everything in here. We don't need objects contact. I feel like these prettier files don't really need to go in, but what do I know? Clean this up a little bit too. Tom Company. Sure. All right. There's our Atlas work for the day. Gonna take a quick break, grab a drink, and when we come back, we're gonna play some Forsopoly. Dust it off, see what we got going on. And it pushed into the org, so that's where we're at so far. It has a terrible README file that we probably could pick up where we left off, or at least take inventory of what we got in there, just like we did a minute ago. And I'm going to see if we can get this stood back up and get the logic going. Probably going to look at these flows and say, "Oh my, what happened?" But let's come back to that in a minute. Let's see. We'll give a little be right back here. Dude, turn off my face. And when are we going to be back? It's 1:08. I'll be back at 1:15. And we'll do some Forsopoly. Stay tuned. You can listen to my royalty-free ambient techno synthwave music if you so desire. See you in a minute. Okie dokie. Approximately 1:15. Approximately. There we go. Forsopoli. 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 It's fun to say. It's fun to play. We couldn't exactly play it when we were first looking at it, but we're going to try. Maybe not today, but over the course of the next few shows. I've just been itching to work on this one again. So we're going to do something about that. Clean up a little bit here. Okay. Little refresher course here. This is interesting because this was the first project of the show, and I don't know if the show's necessarily gotten any better, but maybe I've figured out a few patterns and behaviors that work to show this stuff off a little more, or maybe not. I don't know, but maybe we can apply some cleanup as we're working through this, because I think there's a lot of things to review here, and I'm sure that I'm not going to remember everything. And if we just had a better README file, maybe we'd be in better shape. I did pull this from GitHub, so here it is. I can't believe it's been almost 2 years since, 2 years ago, since the last update of this. Did I see September 29th somewhere? I think. Yeah. So there you go. 2 years later. Let's get back into this. I'm rolling up my sleeves, as you can or cannot see. All right, we do not have. Let's be a good kid, and we'll stand up a little project around this. Sure, let's just Kanban our way through this. I'm sure we'll come up with some stuff that is in these documents not really well organized. So, all right, let's take inventory here a little bit. Let's see, components, custom objects. How deep can you go with the? Let's preview this again. Okay. Yeah. 4 levels deep, no big whoop. All right, let's take a look at the property object. And we can put some descriptions on these things too. And I think this is the data that we need to load in, right? Yeah, so we have a file called properties, and this really feels like custom metadata to me instead of custom object. But the fact that we Well, I guess we could do one of two things, right? Right now we're just you have to load this data in. It could turn into custom metadata. We can store it in the org, and then instead relate it to. Instead of relating it, we just stamp it in, because we do need a game property object or object and record during the game, so we know what's going on. We can't just update these file or values. But anyway, what is a property? Let's see. A property record represents a property card in a Forsopoly game. I lost my README. Where'd you go? Okay, there's property. What is card? Okay, so we were I'm already forgetting, right? Property might just be the property, and property card or card might relate to the property in question. No, this is, I'm sorry. The card is the community chest or chance. Represents chance and community chest cards for Forsopoly. Now I feel like we had data for that too. We had two record types, right? So maybe we'll describe a few fields on this. I've forgotten how to bold. I gotta get my markdown cheat sheet. Two dots. Okay. I'm just going to pop this off to the side. Go back and forth here a little bit. So action type, which is a pick list, is so I think in the pursuit of building the game, I went back and forth, evaluating all the cards to say, well, what does this card mean ultimately? When you either move to a property, you move to a railroad, you move to a utility, you move a certain number of spaces, you take money. You take money from the bank, you take money from players, you give money to the bank, you give money to players, you get out of jail. Those were the 9 things that I could sort of broadly speaking, that the cards do. Chance and community chess seem to do the exact same things. If somebody can describe the difference to me, I'm all ears. They didn't seem a whole lot different between the two. Maybe overlook something. So that's action type. The amount, I believe, is the amount of, which is currency. I'll say this is the well, let's write it in here, right? The value / cost associated with the card. The name is a name. It's just an auto number created. Description. I have to check how description is used. I think this is the text present on the card. Or displayed on the card, I guess. Okay, what's next? Standard field, standard field. Property. This is again why I think property was like, how do we relate it? Property associated with card action. EX go to, move to Broadway? Can you go to Broadway? Probably should have done this with the property object too, but we'll go alpha. Record type, I think we have, what record types do we have? I think we have chance and community chest. Yep. There's really not much to the record types for those, if I recall, aside from us just filtering by them. And then spaces. So spaces is the number of spaces moved. Okay. That's card. Let's look at game. So game represents an instance of a Forsopoly game. Instance always feels like such a nerd word. Go. All right, our fields here. Free parking bank. I just realized I didn't do the data types of all of these. I'll go back and do that later. This is money given to free parking if rule is enabled. I think I'm curious if we have rule toggling. I can't remember. We might not. We might just be doing it. I don't think we have that. I'm going to add that to the backlog. Toggle house rules. Free parking. Okay. So that's free parking bank. The game name, it's just the name. Hotels available and hotels available and hotels purchased and hotels total and yeah, so okay, right. Hotels total, does this default? It defaults to 12. Okay. There's only 12 hotels available in Monopoly. That's interesting. Or hotels total, I'm sorry. So these all play together, right? Hotels total, which is a number. So that's the total possible hotels you could play in a Forsopoly game. Then we have a few more that all kind of go together. Hotels available is, I'm pretty sure, just hotels total minus hotels purchased. Okay, and let's talk about hotels purchased. Which is a roll-up. It's the sum of, let's see, what is it the sum of? Let's see. Game property hotel is a number also. Can't remember if there's a rule about how many hotels you can have in a Monopoly game. Is it just one? I don't know. Anyway, that's a roll-up of, it's a sum of hotels on all game properties. So at a game level, it's keeping track of all of the, all this stuff. So the rules, you know, there's a limited number of houses and hotels that you can play, which is also a constraint on the game, I think, intentionally. Not that I've never really played a Monopoly game where that much hoteling was happening, but I guess it could be. Same pattern for the houses. We know how many houses we're allowed to have in a game, and we know how many are in use throughout. So everything else I think is, I'm not going to do the standard, you know, auditing fields. Okay, what's next? Game, card. Do we have a dice object? Is that turn? I think we do have turn. We do have turn. We're not going to do turn yet. Turn. If I remember, there's a lot going on in turn. I think so. This is the, this turn object controls the whole flow of the game, and we'll come back to that one. Let's see. We did property. I'll come back to property. Player. Let's do player, because it's it's associated with the game. This represents a player in an instance of a Forsopoly, or in a Forsopoly game. Okay, what's on player? So current property current current location of the player on the game board. The game is in jail. So in the game, you can be standing on jail, just visiting, or you can be in jail. Just standing on jail doesn't mean you're in jail. So that's why this checkbox exists, so we can differentiate between the two. Let's see, money, which is currency. Money on hand. Peace. Which is a pick list. Sorry, the piece that represents. Okay. Names is an auto number. Sequence. Let's see, defines the turn and then the user it represents. Okay. So nothing else too weird about that. We know what property we're currently standing on. We know what game we're playing. We know if we're in jail or not. We know how much money we have in our hand. We know what piece I am. I don't know if we're actually implementing that yet. We know the sequence of rolling, and we know what user it associates with. When I build these games, I tend not to just use the user record to represent anybody, because of all this stuff that you have to. Like, I can't put all these fields on the user object in Salesforce. I could, but then nobody will want to install it because there's a bunch of junky Feels wrong. Because, you know, everybody wants to install Forsopoly. Play all day. Maybe. Maybe. Okay. That's player. What do we got next? We don't have dice, but we do have turn. Let's see. We did game. Let's do game property. Actually, let's just... I'm going to check the schema builder here. Just realized we've been kind of off screen here a little bit. And clear all. Custom objects. Let's way down. Why are you all hiding down here? Makes it look terrifying. Okay. So let's see. A game has players. A player has game cards, which is derived from a card. It relates to a property. Right? A game has game properties, and a game has turns. And there's a fair number of relationships in between each of those. So card and property are just like our dictionary objects. That's why they're way down here at the bottom. They let us know what cards are available. Cards turn into game cards when we start a game, so we stamp all those in, and then they relate to the game. Properties become game properties, so we stamp all those in, and then they relate to the game. We create players. Players eventually get game cards here. And then players take turns. I guess we'll put that right in the middle, because that's where everything kind of comes together. Yeah. All right. That kind of looks nice. Now, where were we? Let's do game card. Represents an instance of a card in a game. I think these are junk, right? These are not... Those are not fields associated with the game. Just extra left over. Okay, game card. What do you look like? Relates to the card. We don't have to create new cards for every single game, every single time. Again, maybe left up to... I remember in Uno, had a similar conversation with myself that was like, well, who cares, right? I could just pull these from custom metadata and then push them all in there, which for Uno, I think it made a lot of sense because there's really not much about the cards, about the cards, so we just create game cards. But with Monopoly, there's a little more info on the card, so maybe we keep this. But I could see that being a logical place to say, you know what, there's no more card object. It's now card custom metadata, and then we just stamp all of that into a game card, and it's got all the data that it needs. It might make some relationships and stuff easier to manage, so it could be a refactoring thing. I guess I'll throw that in the list. Refactor card object to... Y'all can't see what I'm typing in my very important backlog here. And then my face is in the way. I'll make my face smaller. Just because I have a big head doesn't mean I have to have a big face. There we go. Refactor card object to custom metadata. Refactor property. We could possibly do the same thing. All right, we get rid of a few objects that, arguably we don't need. Anyway, back to our game card. So we relate to the card. Is discarded. This is a Boolean. Indicates if card has been played. And then the sequence. So the sequence is, again, how the deck is shuffled, right? I feel like in the course of Forsopoly, rock paper scissors, Uno, probably haphazardly built sort of like a game engine. We have the way that players are managed in each of those games is pretty consistent. The way that cards are used in each of those games is pretty consistent. Because the card you need a deck, or you need to shuffle your cards. You need a way to represent a deck of cards, which Monopoly doesn't use, but maybe I'll bring some of that back into it. I don't know. We'll see. I then sometimes wonder, like, well, if I could make these concepts a little more abstract, could they plug in a little easier to these games, and just have a way to reuse some of the logic without having to build it back up each time. I don't know. Maybe someday. Maybe someday, with all you wonderful people here on the show. Okay, I think that's it. There's not much else here. Sequence, did we get that? Yep. So again, it could take all the fields on card, put them on game card, turn card into custom metadata. Boom, done. There's also some logic from YCDRPG, that sequencing, random, all that fun stuff that we had to put in there. That's been lifted over and over again. So, I'm gonna put that in here. Can we like abstract, card engine? The answer is probably yes. I just don't know if I'm smart enough to figure out how. Okay, that was game card. Let's do game property. So here, we have these formulas. So again, like, we already have to reference stuff on the, I'm guessing these are all pointing at the property, right? So why do that? We could just stamp those things on here. But in the meantime, let's take inventory here. Wait, did we put, did I do the, there should be a lookup to, sorry, I missed one on game card. Got to yapping. Okay, there's actually two other things here. This is a master detail to game, which makes sense because, well, you probably shouldn't have a game card if you don't have a game. Up to the game. Then we do have a custom owner field, though. So that, maybe owner is a bad word for that, but for right now, it is what it is. The owner is the player that holds the card. I think that's only relevant when we're talking about get out of jail free, as I'm thinking about it. I think that's where we'll see that logic pop up. Did we get sequence? Yeah, we did. Okay, let's go back to card game property. Sorry. Okay, this also master details to the game. We have a hotel, which is a number, which is the number of hotels on the property. Do we default that to something? It should be 0. Yeah. No default. Okay. So it's singular. So I feel like I found a rule somewhere that said, hey, now the dog wants out. You can't have more than one hotel. Let's write a couple of these in the backlog. So what we got? We got, oops, free parking, total, hotels, in game, total houses in game, hotel limit on property, house limit on property. Could get really out of hand. But I mean, everything's configurable, right? So we can do whatever we want. Okay, back here to game property. So number of houses on property. Is Monopoly. That's a Boolean. So that indicates that owner has all properties in set. The color, basically. Mortgaged. Property is mortgaged. And are we paying back our mortgages? I can't remember. No, we pay our mortgages back to the bank. So I don't know if that's accounted for in here. Okay. Owner, again, is a lookup to player. Property is a, you know, property color, right? So now we've got all these formulas, which again is like, I keep saying it over and over again, but why? You don't do that. Property position is the location on the board. Which have we processed property yet? No, we didn't go through those fields. And then rent. So we know the, which again is a lookup to okay. Let's go. What did we miss here? Yes, yes, player, game card, card. I want to go back to property, and then we got to talk about turn. Okay, a little denormalization here. But I don't really know how else to do it. But this throws a wrench in. Well, how many hotels do you, or how many what do you say? How many houses do you want to allow? We could take a look and see at some cards. Is it just a multiple? It might just be a multiple. Rent is one thing, and then the house rent becomes something different. I want to take a look at that in a minute. But let's you know what? Let's get a Monopoly deck up on the screen because I want to see a few things. I just want to see a bigger... Blah. Everybody wants to sell me cards. Here we go. Monopoly Wiki. Haunted board. What? Mediterranean Ave. So let's do a little math, friends. Let me grab. Well, let's get in here, and we'll grab. Get ourselves a spreadsheet. That's the word I'm looking for. Because maybe there's just a more mathematical way of doing this. Maybe not. Hey, look at that. Forsopoly data. Hey, look at that. Properties. Let's see. Little data analysis. So Mediterranean Ave. So we want, whoops. So we want to know the rent. We want to know 1 house, 2 house, 3 house, 4 house, hotel. The rent is 2. 1 house is, let's see, 10, 30, 90, 160. And then a hotel, 250. I think we determined that whenever you buy a hotel, it costs the same as buying a house, but you have to give up the houses. Let's see, where were we? And with hotel, it's 250. So let's see, if I were to take percents here. Okay. So this is the percent difference from one building to another. Let's see now how it looks. Are they the same? No. Okay, so on Baltic, they're already different. So let's see. Let's make these dollars because I want it to look fancy. All right, Baltic, 420.60, 420. You know what? If I was smart, I'd grab all this. 420.60. I think I smell a pattern. 180.320. Oh, and then 450. Nope, that was wrong. All right, interesting. So only 141% difference. I have a feeling we're gonna have to. I'm just out of curiosity. What if it was 500? See, 500 would be. So is this wrong? I wonder. Let's try another one. All right, this is 450. And then I'm just going to put 500 over here. They show you pity, I guess, with the higher numbers. And back. So Oriental, 630.90. $270, $400, $550. Was it 400? Yep. Interesting. This is Oriental. Feels like it's pretty solid from 1, 2, and 3. And then there's a little bit of grace when you get to the when you get to as you go up. So I'm gonna do Vermont, and then we'll pick another one. We'll pick like St. Charles, and then pick Marvin Gardens, and then pick Boardwalk, and we'll see how they all line up. Because they also seem to go up a little bit within the group. They're not the same. There might be a case where it's like 2 are the same and the third one goes up. I forget. But let's see. Vermont, 630.90, 270. Actually, Vermont's the same. Okay. Oh, because it's 3. Right. So I bet you Oriental and Vermont are the same, and then whatever comes after Vermont is going to be different. Yeah. So let's look at the It's like, again, I think these could, instead of us doing, now what's the real, I was going to say, what's the real percentage here? Because I think we'd have to round up to like the nearest whole number. Where I'm going is like, okay, if we're going to make this change to custom metadata, I would, instead of storing these numbers, I might store the percentages of change between them. Maybe. So a standard game would just be, 1 through 4 and then hotel. Because you could almost go another level, right? You could have a building object, maybe. So then a game property, right? I'd stamp from custom metadata. I'd create a game property. And then I would, create basically an inventory of game property buildings. So we would know all of the buildings that are available. Is it a house? Is it a hotel? And then how is it priced relative to the property rent that it associates with? There was another thing I wanted to do here. So these are relative to each other. What if we do relative to the original rent? This would stay the same. This obviously big giant numbers. Let's see how these play out. We have one more to do in the blues, right? Connecticut. Connecticut is 8, 40, 100. $300, $450, $600. So we could do it that way too, right? We could say the if I think about the ratio between 1 and 2, 2 and 3, or rent and 1, 1 and 2, 2 and 3, those stay the same for the first 3 levels. Then there's a reduction. Now it's interesting that Mediterranean's huge, and then it goes down, and then it goes back up. This would be really interesting to plot out. Like, you basically could figure out what's the, I'm sure someone has already done this, but what's the most economically good or bad from a return on investment, I guess, or comparative like rate for all the properties. Maybe I'll come back and do that later, but I want to see how this continues around. Oops. Let's go out to like St. James. That's purple, right? No, that's orange. Okay. So we got St. James. This is an orange level. 14,7,200. We're starting to see some differences here in the starts. 550, 750, 950. Okay. Now give me yeah, give me a Marvin Garden. I really want to get to Boardwalk. So the base is 2401, 2360. Kind of writes itself here. 850, 1025, 1200. Did I say 1200? Yep. Let's see. Percentage-wise, the hotel is going down. The house stays dead on. Maybe by the time we get to Boardwalk, it'll adjust. But interesting that Connecticut takes a little bit of a drop. I'm guessing it's just because of the math, and it would end up with a weird number. So, because it corrects, we're back up to 1500 on Marvin. I really think a lot of these are just rounding to make the numbers clean. This keeps dropping. I didn't do this for Baltic, just noticed. Okay. Consistent. Dropping. That's Marvin. Let's do Boardwalk. All right, 50, 200, 600. $14, $17, $2,000. Okay. So it's not linear, right? So this isn't something that we could just say across the board, like, hey, the only nope, I lied. I was going to say the only one that is linear is rent to one house, but no, even that gets tweaked because of Boardwalk. But still, all of these values could now become variables that we can monkey with as part of a game, right? So if all of this data, we could either, literally have the values, the physical values. I kind of like having the percentages of change, so you can maybe manipulate everything in one shot with some, with some different rules. But anyway, that's kind of interesting. Not exactly what we care about right now, but relative to this, I think maybe there's a building object in the future. It'd be related to then this might not even be because we don't know what the property rules are yet or what they're associated with. But I don't know. I always go overboard with projects on the show, so maybe we can do the same here. Is just go overboard. Sorry, I'm just trying to... Just checking on the home front here a second. Just some data. Looking at some data. All right. We were cataloging the game property object. So let's... actually, we were doing the property object. I'm going to get rid of all these. Build Salesforce in Salesforce. I don't know what that was about. I want to look at some of this other stuff down here. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's see. Building cost. Which is currency. I think we determined the rule is it always costs. Let's see how much to build a single building, and that would be house or hotel. Right? Color. I think we just store the hex value. Property set color. Position is the sequence around the board. Property cost. Purchase price. The name. Rent. Get back here. Let's see, rent. Base rent. What do we call the other ones? One house, okay. And hotel. With a building object, I think this would change because we could then tweak the game rules, have more or less houses or whatever you want to do there. What else? Rent, hotel, and type. What's type? That's just text, huh? So I'm feeling like maybe that's a pick list in disguise. I have the data here. It's got to be in here somewhere. Yeah, this is the type. Property, railroad, utility, go to jail, community chest. Yeah, so that could be a pick list probably. Let's see, rent, hotel type, type property. So maybe that should be a pick list instead. I think that's all. Well, turn. We have turn also. Let's do it. Let's get her done. So a turn is a player's turn in Monopoly. Forsopoly, sorry. Current turn. So we want to know, hey, this is the turn that's playing right now. Relates to a game. Oops. So it relates to a game. Relates to a game property. I think this is the final property of turn. I think. Outcome. That's a pick list. Let's see what those are. Oh yeah, there's only 3 things you can do. You don't have to do. Well, unless you go to jail, you have to go to jail. I can buy property. I can pay rent. I guess draw a card. But then the card just kind of kicks in, right? I think there might be some more types here, though. Or outcomes. Player. Sorry, not roll up in a master detail. Oh, come on. There. Player taking the turn. So then we want to keep track of, right, this player's, this really should probably be, yeah. I'm pretty sure this is the previous player turn. Probably should be renamed. Previous turn of this player, because it can help us make decisions about, are you still in jail and stuff like that. Probably would name change to player's previous turn, and then we just have plain old previous turn. I think these are just lookups. Turn before this turn. Oops. Oh, what was the roll, right? What did the player roll? And then is the roll double? Dixie rollout. Dice rollout. The player roll doubles, because if we do that 3 times, we get in trouble. We also get to go again if we didn't do it 3 times. So, all right, cool. That's a lot clearer, I think. Let's look at some of this other stuff that was in here. I just had like random piles of notes at the bottom. Maybe not even piles, just a few. Future stuff, color picker component. I don't know if that meant, hey, make a color picker component or use it in the game. Either way, there already is one. Chance cards. Move to new. Oh, this was just my inventory. And then I had a guess to be right. You could have actions be flows specified on cards properties that take in the entire game state and mutate it. Pay bank money, subtract, with dynamic variables coming from the cause. Oh, that's an interesting pattern. The compact layout could be the scoreboard. Users can peek on other people's games and see who's winning. Yeah, like that. Should game store active player and then formula on player to check against the game. That's right. So do we have an active player? It might be another way to handle that. I think that encapsulates that, which I would love to do. We have some of that, I think. Actually, there's some UI in here, some LWC, and some my poor attempts at doing CSS work. This is interesting. I got to think about how that. So I think I duplicated this. Chance cards and turn effects. I think we have new game flow. All right, so I have some more inventory here. We did some of this a while back. New game flow and a canvas or a LWC for the UI. The flows, I'll leave these documented because we're going to probably get into those. I don't know if we'll get into those today, but next show, we'll get into that. All right. And then some bugs. So let's think about, let's go through these. Create new game, create one full game, one empty game. I really would want to check these against what we've got, see if we've dealt with any of these yet. But all right, cool. I'm happy that we've at least cleaned up the README to some degree here. Do we add anything to the force ignore? I think those are new. I think it just adds those. Let's just say reading updates. Okay. Did I not save that? I guess I didn't. I always feel like there's an extra click somewhere in GitHub that... Like, seriously, where are you? Where do I save? Oh, here it is. That's so hidden to me. Like, I just blow right by it to these. I think, oh my gosh, I'm going to do a UX analysis now on GitHub. I think these should be smaller headings so you can clue in on this. Or, I don't know, make it bright green or something. There we go. Okay, back to Forsopoly. That's a little better. I don't know why those are doing that. We'll have to look at the flows. Seriously, why is it all spaced out like that? Makes me twitchy. Doesn't seem like there'd be any good reason for that, but anyway. All right, well. This is intriguing. Have actions be flows specified on cards that take the entire game state and mutate it. So that's interesting because maybe the... Oh, okay. All right. Now I'm thinking. When a action is played, the card knows about the flow to execute around that. It can bring in the whole game, do its stuff, kick it back out. I see. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Might be able to do that on the properties too. Maybe. Because a utility behaves differently than a property, and behaves differently from other. So maybe even the properties could have their own flows. That's an interesting idea because we could define what the flow is, and then you could actually change the flow if you wanted to from one to the next. But interesting idea. I'm gonna write something down that probably won't make a lot of sense, but let's see. Assign flow to action / property type. Yeah. Okay. I like that. That's an interesting pattern. Everything's really procedural right now, so there might be a better way. All right. Let's see. So, I think I'm going to wrap here. Because 20 minutes will be hard to get anything accomplished. I am very tall right now, and I'm about to get shorter. Here we go. So we did Atlas, country state pick list stuff. Got that out there. I'm going to figure out some kind of post for that. Interested in feedback and if people could use it. And then Forsopoly is alive again. At least its README is, and we took inventory, and I guess self-servingly, I now remember how this thing works. And next week we'll dig into some of the flow stuff. Maybe we'll maybe we'll think about making some changes. I think the one challenge is going to be the flows are doing a lot. And yeah, let's take a quick look at one. Just might come in here and be like, wow, what were we doing? Let's see. Start game, new game. Where are you? Let's see. Where's the start game? I thought there was a new game. Oh, create a new game. There we go. All right, hold on. That's not bad. That's not bad. Nah. Make a new game. Load up players. This is just the screen flow that lets you, decide on the players you want to choose. I think this could maybe just be like this could be a little cleaner data table or something that you can just check boxes. We insert the players, we get the properties, we loop on those and convert them. This whole thing, this whole property to game property, card to game card, we might want to do like a metadata or like a metadata clone or metadata stamp, and just say, hey, I want to turn these into that, and that could maybe be a component unto itself, or an invocable. Yeah, maybe an invocable would make sense, because then we could sort of make it dynamic and generic. I guess I'll let dog out. Insert the game, insert first turn, get next player. Not too bad there. Get next player. Do we have a player? Get the first player. Otherwise, loopy. Play turn. Roll. Roll's a subflow that we... Yeah. I think I would probably pull a little bit more from some of the other projects. This is an example of why not just do random in, like, why not just use Apex? Why not just use an invocable? That's a whole lot of elements for just one thing. So maybe roll goes away. Shuffle cards. I think this could be the same. That's generally a shuffle. Yeah. Take turn. This one's probably big. Fairly complex stuff. I mean, you can sort of see the phases of the turn that happen, but I think some of these phases are probably begging for subflows to move in and out of. Set up, let's see, kind of set up the data, figure out where you ended up, where did you land. There's nothing happening here. I don't know why that is. Did we go to jail? Did we pass go? What was the ultimate outcome? No longer the current. Set up the next turn, right? Yeah. So this could be probably tidied up, I think, a little bit more. Are any of these active right now? I installed them. They are not. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I guess maybe it's not insane. this one could be taking a turn could be cleaned up a little bit, and I'm sure there's scenarios that we haven't even thought about yet. But next time we'll go through some of that. This was fun. I'm excited to. It's been literally 2 years since Monopoly started. We've been a whole bunch of different places with the show, and I'm just kind of excited to go back to a few of these and see if maybe we can get Monopoly fully functional the way that I envision. And at some point, I'd love to get this kind of out in the world, and maybe if anybody else is feeling particularly curious, help out, maybe. All right, until next time, I'm Tom. You can do that on Salesforce, even though maybe the show says you can't. I'll see you next Friday. Dreamforce Friday. We'll see if anything huge announcements come out, and riff on a couple of those if they do. If you're going to Dreamforce, I won't be there. Not this year. We'll see you next time. Have a great time. I'll see you next time on the show. Thanks.